You have been mowing over it every week. It is growing in your yard right now. Laboratory tests confirm this plant kills staph bacteria more effectively than standard wound antiseptics. Roman surgeons carried it into battle. Aztec healers packed it into wounds. Archaeological evidence places it in human medicine 4,000 years ago. The FDA classifies it as a noxious weed. The plant is called plantain. At the end of this video, you will know how to identify it in 30 seconds and turn it into a wound salve that lasts 2 years. If you have ever looked at your lawn and wondered what else might be hiding there, you are in the right place. Subscribe and welcome to Garden Explained with Harry. Walk into any pharmacy today. The wound care aisle displays tubes of antibiotic ointment priced at $8 to $12, bandages infused with silver compounds, antiseptic sprays marketed with clinical language and sterile packaging. Consumers pay premium prices, trusting that laboratory formulations deliver superior results. They never question whether a plant growing through sidewalk cracks might contain compounds that match or exceed these products. In the ancient city of Nippur, located in what is now southern Iraq, Sumerian scribes pressed wedge-shaped marks into wet clay tablets around 2000 BCE. These tablets recorded medical knowledge. They documented which plants treated which ailments. Among the remedies listed for wound treatment appears a plant description that modern botanists identify as plantago. This is not folklore passed down through oral tradition. This is written documentation predating the pyramids of Giza by 5 centuries. 500 years later, in ancient Egypt, a scribe compiled medical knowledge onto a papyrus scroll. The Ebers papyrus dates to approximately 1550 BCE. It contains over 800 remedies. Plantain appears in formulations for wound poultices. Egyptian physicians were documenting the same plant that Sumerian healers had used 5 centuries earlier. The Greek physician Pedanius Dioscorides served with Roman armies in the 1st century CE. His work De Materia Medica became the foundation of Western pharmacology for 1500 years. Dioscorides classified plantain under the Greek name arnoglossin, meaning lamb's tongue. He documented its use for stopping hemorrhage, drawing infection from wounds, and treating ulcers. Roman legions carried this plant in their medical kits as standard equipment. Pliny the Elder, writing his encyclopedia Naturalis Historia in the 1st century CE, documented applications for snake bites, dog bites, and battlefield wounds. 2,000 years ago, Roman soldiers trusted this roadside plant with their lives. The knowledge did not disappear when Rome fell. In Anglo-Saxon England, around the 10th century, monks compiled medical remedies into manuscripts that still survive. The Lacnunga manuscript lists 9 sacred healing herbs. Plantain holds a prominent position. The Anglo-Saxons called it waybread, which translates literally as the plant that grows by the road. They used it for infected wounds, venomous bites, and skin ailments. Crossed the Atlantic Ocean. Before European ships arrived, indigenous peoples of North America used native plantago species for identical purposes. The Cherokee applied it to snake bites and skin inflammations. The Ojibwe people recognized its value for drawing infection. When European colonists arrived carrying Plantago major in their boot treads, the plant spread along trails and settlements. Native Americans called the European species white man's footprint because it appeared wherever Europeans walked. Rather than rejecting the invasive species, indigenous healers integrated it into their own medicine. In China, plantain has appeared in pharmacopeias for over 2,000 years. The Shenong Ben Cao Jing, compiled around 200 CE, documents the plant under the name Che Qianzi. The current pharmacopoeia of the People's Republic of China still lists plantain. This is continuous use from ancient times through the present day, documented in official state pharmacopeias. 4,000 years, Sumerian tablets, Egyptian papyri, Greek medical texts, Roman military kits, Anglo-Saxon healing charms, indigenous American medicine, Chinese pharmacopeias. Every major civilization that left written medical records documented this plant. The convergence is not coincidence. Independent cultures across different continents, with no contact between them, arrived at the same conclusion. Plantain heals wounds. The question that modern science asked was simple: does it actually work? Or did ancient people simply believe it worked? In the year 2000, a researcher named Anne Barrett Samuelson published a comprehensive review in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology. Samuelson compiled decades of pharmacological research into a single document. The findings validated what traditional healers had observed empirically for millennia. The primary active compound is called Aucubin. Aucubin belongs to a class of molecules called iridoid glycosides. When plant tissue is damaged, when you crush a leaf or chew it between your teeth, enzymes convert aucubin into a compound called aucubigenin. This conversion product demonstrates antimicrobial activity. The plant essentially activates its own medicine when injured. Ancient healers who chewed leaves and applied them to wounds were unknowingly triggering a biochemical reaction that modern laboratories can now measure. Additional compounds contribute to the effect. Catalpol, another iridoid glycoside, shows antimicrobial properties. Acteoside demonstrates both antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects. The plant contains not one active compound, but an entire complex of molecules working together. Researchers in Turkey published findings in 2012. They tested extracts against Staphylococcus aureus, the bacterium responsible for staph infections and increasingly dangerous antibiotic-resistant strains. The plantain extracts demonstrated significant inhibition of bacterial growth. The minimum inhibitory concentration fell within ranges comparable to standard antiseptic treatments. Serbian researchers published complementary findings confirming antioxidant activity alongside antimicrobial effects. The combination matters because wound healing requires both killing harmful bacteria and reducing oxidative damage to tissues. The antibacterial spectrum extends beyond Staphylococcus. Laboratory studies have documented activity against Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a bacterium notorious for infecting burns and surgical wounds. Activity against Escherichia coli has been confirmed. The plant demonstrates broad-spectrum antimicrobial effects. Preliminary research has examined activity against MRSA, the antibiotic-resistant strain that causes over 10,000 deaths annually in the United States alone. Laboratory findings suggest plantain extracts may offer activity against strains that resist conventional antibiotics. The wound healing evidence extends beyond killing bacteria. Researchers in Mexico found that plantain extracts stimulated cell proliferation. Wounds heal when cells divide and migrate to close damaged tissue. A research team in Hong Kong examined diabetic wound healing, a major clinical challenge because diabetes impairs normal healing processes. Plantain extracts accelerated wound closure in diabetic models. The mechanism involves collagen. Collagen is the protein that forms the structural framework of skin and connective tissue. Aucubin has been shown to stimulate collagen synthesis. The plant does not merely prevent infection, it actively promotes the biological processes that close wounds. Anti-inflammatory effects compound the healing activity. Acteoside inhibits COX-2, the same enzyme targeted by ibuprofen and aspirin. Inflammation is a necessary part of healing, but excessive inflammation delays recovery. Plantain compounds help regulate this balance. Consider the traditional use for insect stings. For generations, people have crushed plantain leaves and applied them to bee stings. Laboratory analysis reveals antihistamine properties in plantain extracts. Traditional practice and modern pharmacology arrive at the same conclusion through different methods. The scientific literature now contains hundreds of studies examining plantain pharmacology. Research teams in Iran, Turkey, Brazil, China, Poland, Serbia, Mexico, and the United Kingdom have published findings. The evidence base is a converging body of international research, all pointing toward the same conclusion. The plant works. Traditional healers were correct. Identification requires attention to detail, but the plant is distinctive once you know what to look for. Broadleaf plantain, Plantago major, forms a rosette of oval-shaped leaves that emerge directly from the ground. There is no stem. The leaves spread outward from a central point close to the soil. Each leaf displays prominent parallel veins running from the base to the tip. Broadleaf plantain typically shows 5 to 7 strong veins per leaf. The ribwort plantain, Plantago lanceolata, grows with lance-shaped leaves rather than oval ones. The leaves are longer and narrower, but they display the same parallel venation pattern. Both species contain identical medicinal compounds and can be used interchangeably for wound treatment. The identification test that confirms you have found the right plant requires one simple action: grasp a leaf near its base. Pull it slowly apart by tearing across the width. Fibrous strings remain connected between the torn sections. These strings are the vascular bundles. No common look-alike plant produces this fibrous, stringy result when torn. If you pull a leaf apart and see strings, you have found plantain. Look where humans walk. Plantain thrives in compacted soil where other plants struggle. Check the edges of driveways, the borders of sidewalks, and the paths across lawns where foot traffic has compressed the earth. This plant grows precisely where people step on it. The Anglo-Saxon name, waybread, remains accurate after 1,000 years. Harvest demands awareness of contamination. Plants growing beside busy roads absorb vehicle exhaust. Plants growing on treated lawns contain pesticide residues. Avoid these locations. Seek plants growing in clean areas. Your own yard, if untreated with chemicals, provides an ideal harvest site. The simplest preparation method is older than written history: the spit poultice. Chew a fresh leaf until it forms a moist mass. Apply this directly to a wound, sting, or bite. Your saliva contains enzymes that help activate the conversion of Aucubin to aucubigenin. You are not merely applying plant material, you are initiating a biochemical reaction. Modern sensibilities may prefer a cleaner approach. Crush a fresh leaf between clean fingers. Add a small amount of clean water. Apply this crushed material to the affected area. Cover with a bandage. Replace every few hours with fresh plant material. For a preparation that stores, infused oil provides a practical option. Gather plantain leaves. Wash them and dry them thoroughly. Moisture introduces bacteria that spoil the oil. Fill a clean glass jar loosely with the dried leaves and cover completely with a carrier oil. Olive oil works. Coconut oil works. Seal the jar. Place the jar in a sunny window for 2 to 4 weeks. Sunlight gently warms the oil and extracts compounds from the plant material. Shake the jar daily. After 2 to 4 weeks, strain the plant material through cheesecloth and store the infused oil in a dark glass container. This preparation maintains potency for 6 to 12 months. Infused oil serves as a base for salves. Measure 8 ounces of your plantain-infused oil and measure 1 ounce of beeswax. Combine in a heat-safe container and warm gently until the beeswax melts completely. Pour into small tins or jars. Allow to cool and solidify. You have made a shelf-stable wound salve that lasts 1 to 2 years. Place a tin in your first aid kit. Place a tin in your camping gear. You have manufactured a wound treatment from a plant that grows in your yard using methods that predate industrial chemistry by millennia. Return to the institutional paradox that opened this video. The FDA classifies plantain as a noxious weed. No pharmaceutical company can patent a plant that grows wild in every temperate region on Earth. No laboratory can claim intellectual property over a remedy documented in Sumerian clay tablets. The economic structures that fund research require return on investment. A freely available plant offers no return. Research funding follows commercial potential. Studies examining patentable drug formulations attract investment because successful results can be monetized. Studies examining traditional plant remedies attract minimal funding because successful results cannot be owned. The knowledge exists. Search Google Scholar for Plantago, major antimicrobial, and you find hundreds of studies. The information sits in scientific databases accessible to anyone, but information that generates no profit receives no promotion. No marketing budget advertises what cannot be sold. The plant does not care about economic structures. It grows where humans walk. It produces antimicrobial compounds, whether or not anyone patents them. It has been doing this for longer than writing has existed. 4,000 years of continuous human use across every inhabited continent. Laboratory confirmation of antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, and wound-healing properties. Growing uninvited in yards, sidewalk cracks, and compacted paths across the temperate world. Available to anyone who learns to recognize parallel veined leaves and fibrous strings when torn. The Roman legionary who packed plantain into a sword wound and survived to fight another battle did not need a peer-reviewed study. The Anglo-Saxon monk who treated infected injuries did not require FDA approval. The Cherokee healer who passed knowledge through generations did not wait for commercial validation. They observed, they tested, they documented, they continued using what worked. The plant growing through the crack in your driveway right now carries the same compounds that traveled in Roman military medical kits. It requires no purchase. It requires no prescription. It requires no supply chain that profits from your repeated buying. Identification takes minutes. Preparation takes hours. The knowledge belongs to you now. Subscribe to Garden Explained with Harry and watch the next video to discover more.